solid ripping right there.
Can we get a hand for Big Dog Murphy for his music here? We're going to ask everybody to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and the flag is behind me here. Everybody who can rise will, and we'll do that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And go ahead and remain standing, and Michael is going to do one more verse of God Bless America, and feel free to sing it. Not God Bless America. Good, that's it. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, that's it.
Did you say they could sing too?
Is that okay?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's okay. I mean, I don't have that much money. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairie to the ocean white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Go ahead and have a seat, and like I said, feel free to go back for more food. Before we get started, I want to do a moment of silence for one of our founding members of the Wolf River Area Patriots way back in 2012, when there was the recall effort against Walker, and we decided to get something going here in New London. Fred Ungelau of Caledonia Township was part of that. He passed away in, I believe, June 4th this year, and 90 years old. He was a trooper. So just have a moment of silence for Fred. Thank you very much. I'd first like to thank again our two sponsors for this, Citizens Against Expanded Gambling. You can find them on the internet. Go Citizens Against Expanded Gambling and maybe add Wisconsin, and they'll come up. Their goal is not necessarily to shut down gambling in Wisconsin, but to prevent continuation of more and more of it in terms of what it does to communities, and they are working really hard to stop one that's down in Kenosha. That's the last step is to get the Interior Department to support it, and they're working on getting people to call to stop that. So that's one, and I want to call our other sponsor up because he's here and he's part of our group, and he's part of our leadership group, and that's Nick Pearson. Nick, can you come up? Stop eating there, Nick.
Oh, now that I got a mouthful.
What's that? Oh, you got a mouthful. All right. I didn't warn you enough. All right. Revolution Radio. It's a internet-based radio.
It's an internet-based radio station that's been going on since 2014, or a little bit earlier than that, which I got roped into when I was with the Republican Party out in California. at one of our meetings, when my co-host, that became my co-host, they said, "You're going on the radio." I'm like, okay. And I've been doing it ever since. I'm on Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock. As a matter of fact, I'm having Dr. Dan's colleague on tonight, Dr. Scott Wessler, who's with the Physicians for Freedom that I've seen a couple of times out there. Our station, we do pretty much whatever we want. That has been the basis of our station. We're not partisan. We don't subscribe to anything. Some people talk about UFOs. Some people talk about God knows what, because I don't even understand it. But I stick with the politics, and except for the UFO guy who's coming on next week. But and I am not kind when I don't have to be, and I'm very kind when I should be. So if you want to tune in and find out what we're about, turn on Revolution. Go to revolution.radio on the internet. Click on the Studio A player, and you'll hear me and Dr. Scott Wessler. By the way, with him and Dan, have an absolutely brilliant presentation the last few times that I saw him. If you didn't understand COVID, you would when you got through it. If you didn't understand the medical system, you would when you got after you listened to it. So I hope everybody can tune in and get a kick out of what I do. I like to bill myself as an angrier version of Regular Joe. Let's just put it that way.
You did it well. We have a number of candidates that are running in the primary election and in the fall election. Each of them is going to have 3 minutes in a minute, but a couple housekeeping things. Again, for those of you that work here, we're taking a free will offering, but it's absolutely not required or not expected. But we don't need a lot of expenses to do what we do. We just need to rent meeting rooms and sometimes programs and things like that. So anything there would be appreciated. And it's up at the food table there near the desserts. Also, let's see. Well, we'll get right into the candidates. I first want to introduce a guy that's been a friend of mine since he first ran for sheriff, and that's Sheriff Tim Wilz. He's running for his 3rd term. And when you are effective, people come against you. If you're not effective, the political establishment doesn't come against you. So he has had strong opposition each time he's run, but he's won two races convincingly, and he's facing an independent candidate for the November election. And I just want to introduce Sheriff Tim Wilz.
Hey, Chris?
Yes.
Tim has been on my show, too.
Yeah. Let's say thanks to all the cooks. I don't know who cooked. Thanks for emceeing this, Chris. It is another race. I don't know how I get roped into this, but every time someone wants to run against me. I don't know why, because there's no platform on my new opposition. Zero. Other than I'm corrupt. And let me tell you, we're far from it. So I just want to say, 35 years of law enforcement, it's not just about enforcing the laws. It's about what we do. We mentor people. We teach people, our new officers. People in crisis. We mediate. Come to a conclusion. We make decisions for them by arbitrating, because sometimes there is no option. We've seen people in their worst needs. We direct them for justice, for support. This is what we do. It's not just about enforcing the law. And my team that we have built at the Sheriff's Office is 100% public safety,
and community partnership, and that cannot be divided by a candidate that thinks we're corrupt and we're the good old boys. Wilz and Company. I don't know, it's kind of a slogan. It's not deserving, but as Chris said, when you're good at what you do and you're strong-willed to support this community, people don't like that. Especially when they're not part of the good old boys. You know why? Because we hold officers accountable. We hold you, the public, accountable. We certainly hold our officers accountable for what they do. And that will never change. Just like how we protect the public will never change. We live in this community as well. Me and my wife do not want a crime-ridden community with drugs. It's all about protection. Supporting our officers is also very important. Our deputies, our staff, they need it too. And we're not going to let them down, just like we don't let you down. So I want to say I am honored and privileged to be your sheriff for the last 8 years. And I want you to know, as we continue for this next 4 years, nothing will change, only get better. So thank you, the community that we serve, and for feeling that I'm the right guy for the right job. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, next we're going to go with the statewide candidates that are running, that are here. First we have David Barnum, who is running for Lieutenant Governor, and he has a message for you, and it's a good one. It's good.
All right. Well, it's great to be with you here tonight. I promised I would stick to my 3 minutes if you gave me time to speak, so I'm going to move fast. But I am this flyer that was passed out earlier. If you didn't get one, I will get you one later. Just raise your hand, or I'm over in the corner there, and you can come find me. But I'm David Barnum. I am the former mayor of Lancaster. I'm a former congressional aide, and I'm a former federal policy analyst to Dr. James Dobson at Focus on the Family. Thank you. I've had a lot of really cool titles and cool jobs that God has put me in. But outside of being a follower of Christ, my two most important titles are husband and father. And they're right here on the front of my card. And that's why I am in this race. Because can you imagine what their future will look like if we elect Francesca Hong in November? The liberals are ready to take power. And we need to push back. And we need a winning ticket that can do that. I'm ready to help Tom Tiffany to be bold on issues, because I think we don't just want to win, we want to lead, and we want to be bold on issues. So what will I do? First, we need to be bold on lowering taxes. We need to keep our families, our businesses, and our young people in the state. I'm so tired of hearing about Florida and Texas. We need to be a leader in the Midwest when it comes to tax policy. And when I left being mayor of Lancaster, we had the lowest property taxes and lowest utility fees of any city in Grant County. Second, we need to stand for the sanctity of life. And I think when you hear that I work for Dr. James Dobson at Focus on the Family, you know my heart. But it's more than just me, it's also my family. My wife, Jessica, is a family practice physician who also does OB, and she serves on the board of our crisis pregnancy center in Southwest Wisconsin called Clarity Clinic. Something else you might notice when you look at that picture, I'm a girl dad. And we need to keep men out of women's sports and their locker rooms. Yeah. And you know who else is a girl dad? Tom Tiffany. And can you imagine the contrast of two rural girl dads going to Madison to fight for their daughters and their daughters' futures? Amen. We also need to ensure that state and local law enforcement work with federal immigration authorities to deport criminal illegal aliens from our state. And we need to give parents a choice and a voice when it comes to education, and ensure that we are raising our test scores, our standards, and our expectations for our students. But I can't do this alone. I need your help. My card has a QR code where you can learn more about me, make a donation, sign up for my email. I also have donation cards in the back, and they're yard signs right on the other side of this pillar here near the camera tripod. Because guess what? I'm a rural candidate. I live in the southwest corner of Illinois and Iowa. I have driven more than 50,000 miles since I got in this race in late September. It takes gas money. I need your help with that because we're getting ready to do our media buys. We're still paying for gas and everything else. So even if you're willing to chip in $5, I have donation cards back there, or you can make it at my website. Thank you so much for listening to me. God bless you. God bless the great state of Wisconsin.
David, thank you. Can you tell us how many candidates are on the Republican ballot?
Two.
You and
Will Martin from Racine.
Will Martin from Racine. Okay, that's your choices. Okay, next, the next thing we're going to do is the 57th district, which is the District of Assembly.
Braden Meyer.
Oh, and we've got, okay, Braden, I wrote you down there and I missed it. Come up here, Braden Meyer. Yeah. Very good, Braden. You thought you were back at the state convention and they were gonna shut you down.
Oh, it's a repeat. Well, hi everyone. My name's Braden Meyer, and I'm running to be your next Secretary of State. So just a quick background of who I am. I'm from Manitowoc, born and raised there. My family has a long history of military service. When I was in my junior and senior year of high school, I enrolled at UW Green Bay, where I took all college courses, and I graduated from high school with 91 college credits. And then 6 months later, that same year, I graduated from UW Green Bay with my bachelor's in political science, as well as minors in public administration, democracy and justice studies, and a certificate in organizational development. I've ran for school board before, and I was endorsed by my county's chapter of Moms for Liberty, which I also founded and run. And that got attention of a certain brewing company a little bit up north, because all of a sudden, that brewing company took a packet out on me for my school board race. That is how crazy the left is. But that didn't stop me. I kept fighting. Afterwards, I formed the Manitowoc County Patriots. I also am a small business owner and a former congressional staffer. I've also been the vice president of my high school Young Republicans and treasurer of the UW Green Bay College Republicans. When we look at the Secretary of State's office, we've had the half century of failed Democratic leadership that I say it's about time we kick out and get a good constitutional conservative in there. Who's going to turn that all around? Does that sound like a great idea to all of you guys?
Sure does.
So this is what I'm going to do for all of you when you send me down to Madison. First, the Secretary of State is our state's official records holder. So I want to put all these records into one easily accessible website and make them free, because they're called public records for a reason. You shouldn't have to pay to see what your government is up to. I also want to make sure the office is running as efficiently as possible. Take a look at, is it using the best practices of the day? What can we do better? Kind of like what Trump is doing with Doge on the national level, but do that on the state level. Because honestly, our whole government needs to be Doged entirely. Get rid of all the waste, fraud, and abuse. The Secretary of State also chairs the Board of Commissioners of Public Lands. This board gives out loans to local governments to fund various projects. In the past, this board has given out loans for building solar panels, which I see as way too politically divisive. I would rather have these loans go to our critical infrastructure needs, like fixing our roads. And the number one most important thing that we need to address. Right now, we have the Wisconsin Elections Commission. There's 6 people on there, and they're all appointed by politicians. So you can't hold them accountable as voters. When you send me down to Madison, I'm gonna make this promise to you right now. I'm gonna fight to abolish the corrupt Wisconsin Elections Commission and get the Secretary of State put in charge of elections so you have someone to hold accountable. And once we do that, we can regularly audit our voter rolls, make them free, and go to hand count paper ballots only.
Amen.
And one quick thing, and I'll step down. The latest about the Wisconsin Elections Commission, they got a new chair now. It used to be Ann Jacobs, now it's Don Millis. What's one of the first things he says? We have to destroy the absentee ballots from the 2020 election in Milwaukee. What are you trying to hide, Don? It is in my opinion that Don Millis needs to resign right now. So, thank you all for having me. Please come talk to me if you would like a sign or if you'd like to help out with my campaign.
Before you go, tell us how many people are running for Secretary of State in the Republican primary?
4.
4? Can you name them?
I can name the only one that showed up tonight. I mean, there's a few people. You can all go find it out there. It's really easy to find who's out running.
Yeah. Well, there's one guy that's been endorsed by the RPW, but it was kind of a fix at the convention. So, what's his name now? Forget.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely who I'm not voting for. That guy. That guy. Say the name again. I'm sorry.
Paul Dow.
Pollnow.
Paul now. Yeah. Yeah. So he's supported by the same establishment that's in charge of the assembly right now. So, I'll say this about Braden. He has been to several of our events. He's been into Wapaka County several times, and he gives a great speech, and he's very, very sharp guy. Yep. So if I appear to be stumbling, I got dropped on this job at the last minute because our president, Pastor Roberts got sick tonight and is not available. James Roberts. So we're going to do the 57th district, which is a district that is starts about from in our area. It starts over by Manawa, Waiwega, town of Royalton, goes all the way down and takes in below us town of Caledonia and goes into Outagamie County for the town of Dale, and then takes pretty much to the western boundary. The northern part of the district the county is in 2 other districts, but the bulk of the population of Wapaka County is in the 57th district. Also all of Waushara and small parts of 3 other counties. So there's 4 candidates running in that race, and for the Republican nomination, and I believe there's 1 Democrat running that will be on the primary ballot, and 2 of the candidates for the Republican nomination are here tonight, and that is Ed Delgado and Bill Lorge. And we're going to start with Ed. Ed, you got 3 minutes.
Over there. Over this way.
Yep.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's always good to be back here with Wolf River Area Patriots. For those of you guys that don't know me, my name's Ed Delgado. Tell you a little bit about myself. For those who haven't heard me, I am a Marine Corps veteran, 3rd generation military, county board supervisor for Waushara County. I was vice chair of the Waushara County Republican Party at one point. I am a longtime conservative Republican advocate, meaning blogs, podcasts, interviews, advocating for conservative causes. I've been doing that for, goodness, almost 15 years. Why am I running for this assembly seat? The answer is actually pretty simple. Our last representative, maybe you saw him here and there, maybe you caught a picture of him with Eagle Scout, all of which is fine and well, but I believe that representation for the people of the 57th means talking to everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean the people at your stores, your customers, the people that have small businesses, bars, C-stores, you name it. The mechanics, all those folks need to be represented, and they should have access to their representative. Now, I want to shift gears here a little bit and not just make this the standard political stump speech. I will tell you this much before I go further, though. I am pro-First Amendment, Second Amendment, the entire Constitution. And when I say entire, and I'm glazing over that real quick, because that is the default position for all of your Republican conservative candidates. If your candidate is not that, I don't believe they deserve your vote. And that's just in the entry level. But let's think back here. Our main speaker is going to be talking more about like COVID and the restrictions and everything that we had. How many of you guys remember out in California, there was a guy who was bodyboarding? He was out there on his own. What happened to him?
They chased him down the beach.
They chased him down and dragged him in. Never again. What happened here March 17th, 2020? We got shut down. I remember that. It was St. Patrick's Day. Do you guys remember what happened in Oshkosh when a bunch of folks wanted to go to Mass and they were shut down? Never again. I say all this to say that a lot of people tend to forget what happened in just a few short years, and we should never forget what happened. We should never forget those restrictions, those lockdowns, the things that happened to people by unelected bureaucrats. We need representatives that will stand up and fight against that. This is something that, is it possible to have again? I would say yes, because nobody, if you were to go back 10 years, would have thought that we would have dealt with that in 2020. Nobody would have thought that you would have had to walk into a restaurant, put a mask on, just so you can go sit down. Yeah. Never again. So with that, I'm running for the 57th. My time's almost done, but if you want to support, my website, delgado4wi.com. Got yard signs there, and could always appreciate volunteers, donations, and Chris, thank you for your time, good sir. Appreciate it.
Before I call on Bill, I'm going to tell you there is an event coming out where all 4 57th Assembly candidates have been invited to speak at a candidate forum and take questions from the audience. That is 2 days from now, the 25th, at Wapaka High School at 6:30. It's moderated by my friend Ron Sari, who is the retired superintendent from Wapaka School District, and he runs these things really tight down the middle. It should be a good thing. 3 of the candidates have accepted that, and the 2 here have accepted, and also Dylan Teston has accepted. The 4th candidate, a guy named Kevin Krentz, has from Winnebago County. He has. I think the bigger ones. He has turned it down, and he asked the Republican Party he would come, but only if they would not invite all 4 candidates. If they would take one off the stage. So, I think he might still show up, but hard to tell. But while Bill is speaking, I've got flyers from the Wapaka County Republican Party, and I'll pass them around about that event if you would like to attend. Even if you don't live there, it should be a lively deal. So I'm going to introduce Bill Lorge, who's currently living in Fremont, right, Bill? And he's going to tell you about he's going to give you his 3 minutes. He is a former representative, 10 years in the legislature.
That was my whole speech. Thanks, Chris. Hello, everybody. It's been a while. I did come out of retirement for a lot of reasons. One of them is right behind me in the Wolf River. I did a lot for this river in the 10 years when I was in the legislature, and the flooding this year really got me riled up because back when I was basically in the legislature in the 1990s, pretty much that whole decade. And when I left, we thought the answer was dredging up the river so that when the water starts getting higher, the water goes into those dredges. That's what they do everywhere else. Now, I don't know if that's still the best solution, I'm gonna find out, but back then it was, and like I said, when I left, I thought we were gonna do it, and it didn't get done. That's one of the reasons. Another reason, just real quick, kind of fun, I remember when Charlie had that bait shop, and I've been here so many times. I got along with Mark Bilefus, the DNR warden. Anybody remember Mark? Yeah. Bilefus? Okay, good. Yeah, and his dad was a Supreme Court judge. And he and I did a lot of things on this river. We got sturgeon spawning, Bamboo Bend, things like that. I could go on and on and on, but it's on my brochure right here. Wolf, River Protector, and Leader. I couldn't make it more, clear. I love the river, and I'll do everything I can for those of you who have property rights on the river. That was another big one. I'll never forget the meeting we had in the town of Hortoni. It was so full because they tried to take down the fishing shacks. I could just go on and on and on about my past in the legislature, but I did accomplish a lot, and I used to have office hours all the time, everywhere. I was telling, I think it was Buchholz, we were talking about the postal system. He's retired now, and they tried to get rid of the post office in Royalton, and I stopped them the first time, and then they tried to do it again in the middle of my career, and I stopped them the second time. Then when I got out, they took the post office away. So the other thing I'll say about being out and bad things happening is, how many people here remember my dad? He was a state senator from New London and Outagamie County. You remember Gerald Lorch, my dad? That's my dad. You got it. Yep. I'm the good one. But my dad left the legislature in 1985, and I came in 1989. And in those 4 years, that's where all the gambling happened. When my dad was gone and before I got in, that's when we got all the gambling. I don't like it. I've got 4 kids in their 20s, 20 in their 20s now. When I was a while ago, this one lady said to me, "Sir, how old are your 4 kids?" And I said, 2, 4, 6, 8. And now they're 22, 24, 26, 28. And they're on my brochure because I'm running for them for their future as well. But I could go on and on about all that. Just the bottom line, I'm pro-life, pro-gun. We can talk more, but if you want to help me out, go to lordsforassembly.com. And again, I just don't like the gambling that has increased here in our state and all over. And I have 4 kids, and I won't name them, but one of them could be addicted to gambling. I don't think so. He does it not that much, but it's illegal, I believe, in Wisconsin, but he can still do it because it's online. And those types of things we gotta readdress, those issues. And again, a lot of the other things that I'm fighting for, you can find on my website. If you go to lordsforassembly.com, it's mostly to contribute, because our campaign is on Facebook, because Facebook people can interact, and Facebook doesn't let politicians raise money. You can have a fundraiser for somebody who's got cancer, or you can have a birthday fundraiser on Facebook, but if you're trying to get elected, the rules are always kind of against us. I always tell people, why is it so hard, for people to run? And it's because of things like that. If Facebook would let me raise money, I'd probably have a lot more money, because a lot of people are communicating with me on Facebook and following my campaign. But if you want to make a donation, you got to go to lordsforassembly.com. Thanks so much. Thanks, Chris. Thanks again.
Thanks, Bill. Remember, Thursday night at the high school, all 4 are invited, and at least 3 of them will be there. So, let's see. Are there any other candidates that I missed that are running for office? Oh yeah, Tony, I got your name down and I missed it. I apologize. Get up here, Tony. Our district that we live in is the 56th. We used to be in the district that Kevin Peterson represented, but in the redistricting, we ended up in part of the 56th. David Murphy is our representative, but he is retiring. There's only one candidate for the Republican nomination, a fellow that has become my friend, and I have personally helped him out on this, and that is Dr. Tony Phillips. Tony, thanks.
Thanks for remembering me, Chris. No, I'm kidding. No,
Do you know anything for short Short-term memory.
Yeah. Short-term memory loss? Okay, yeah, we'll work on that. But no, thank you. As he just said, I'm pretty excited because I'm running for the 56th Assembly. Anybody here in New London, certainly you're in my district. And as he said, I don't have a primary opponent, which is huge. This is a district that leans pretty far right. So I'm hopeful for my chances in November, as long as I continue to work hard. I do have 2 Democrat opponents, so we'll all be on the August 11th ballot. I won't have an opponent on August 11th, but please get out and vote anyway. You have choices for Secretary of State, Lieutenant Governor. Please take yard signs. I know Tom Tiffany has yard signs here. I'm working hard for him as well when I go out and knock doors. So, you know, as I said, I'm hopeful to be elected, and when I am elected, you know, I'm going to be the conservative representative that the 56th Assembly would expect. Fiscal, conservative, pro-life, pro-law enforcement, pro-ICE, anti-boys and girls sports, all of that. So you can definitely expect that. I am a cancer doctor by trade. I'm retired. I'm no longer working as a cancer doctor. But all my experiences over the years, training as a researcher, training as a scientist, seeing clinical medicine, gives me a lot of appreciation for what we're going to hear from our main speaker tonight, Dr. Koster. I was looking at his website today. Some of the things that I liked is his emphasis on restoring the patient-doctor relationship, which has deteriorated due to corporate medicine, restoring the free market focus, and direct primary care, which he told me he's been doing for 21 years, which is awesome, and we need more of that. I also like some of his quotes on there. Liberty and responsibility are paired virtues. That's a core conservative thought. We all want freedoms, but we need to understand we have responsibility with those freedoms. And I think the left doesn't get that. And then compassionate scientific discussion. Again, I grew up as a scientist, as a researcher, but I understand science isn't unfailable. Science needs to be corrected at times, and that's how we learn. That's how we move on and advance. So anyway, I'll stop there, but appreciate your time, and make sure you get out and vote in August and November. Thank you.
Thank you. When I first told my wife about Dr. Phillips running, she said, "Oh, I hope he's a neurologist. You need to work on it." So she also told me I should always open things with a light story that's humorous. I forgot to do that. But we do a lot on Amazon now, and a couple days ago, Ellen ordered on Amazon a chicken and an egg. And I'll tell you which one is first. Gets here first. Okay, let's see. The next, getting ready to start the main program. And, we've had Dr. Koster here in the past, and really went over great. And a lot of people, he's very supportive of the MAHA movement, and he's very strongly against dictatorial medical mandates such as happened in COVID. And he's been a guest and a host on the Joe Gigante's show, Regular Joe. And his organization is growing all the time, and he's getting more and more medical people into it. So without anything further, I'll introduce you Dr. Dan Koster.
Thank you, everyone. I am delighted, honored to be here. This is America. We're, 11 days before 250 years, the Declaration of Independence. And I had a brat, I had watermelon. My opening joke is whenever a patient or a friend or a relative says to me, I'm kind of concerned about my memory, I always say the same thing. I say, you know, that's the third time in the last 10 minutes you told me that. Which is cruel but fun. Physicians for Freedom is a physician-led organization. We are run by donations only, and we have a mission, as Dr. Tony alluded to, factual, rational, and respectful or compassionate debate. That mission contains no topic, nothing specific. It's a process, because we believe by debating and by encouraging airing of differences, then we understand each other better and we arrive at a mutual understanding of the truth. It's the only way to do it. And anything that does not do that keeps you from truth. It prevents establishing trust from a track record with other people, and it keeps people apart. Whereas if you have a common understanding of the truth, you can agree on things, you can agree to disagree, you can work things out peacefully. And if you have peace and a common understanding of the truth, that is liberty. So we want to apply that to all topics everywhere, especially if you want to govern yourselves as a country. That's the only way to do it. And we used to do a lot of that. 250 years ago, there was a lot of that going on. I heard some 20, 30 years ago, the most common type of book in the early, the colonial days and the early days around the time of the Revolution, law books. People studied law and they knew law. Well, part of it was because there wasn't a central authority established running everything for them. So they knew the principles of law. I think back of 250 years ago, those people that fought faced tremendous obstacles, not just the British, but two in particular stand out to me. One of them is very few people were activists. Very few people were leaders. In any group of people, maybe 10% are going to be leaders. That evolved to be that way. You can't have everyone leading, but you can't have no leaders. So 10% is about right. So in the colonial times, there was maybe 10% of the leaders. Well, some of those leaders were pro-King George. They were loyalists. Some of the leaders were rebels, and some of the leaders were undecided on that question. But so you get a couple of different categories of a minority of the people. And I think the vast majority of people in those days were pretty apathetic. They weren't involved. That wasn't on their radar screen. And so how does a small group of leaders, pro-Declaration of Independence, pro-liberty, anti-British, how does that small group get its message across? And if you ask anyone who's had experience in this organization, or you ask anyone who's had experience running for office or serving publicly, they'll tell you they have a very similar frustration. How do you motivate people? How do you get people to want something and then do something to get it? I had a patient a week or two ago tell me, when we had a June 3rd event, so it was the week before June 3rd, and we were talking about this event. The hijacking of healthcare. You can watch it on our website. This patient said, how are you going to accomplish anything? People are sheep. And if you think about that, it seems kind of insulting. But what he meant was what? We're followers. We instinctively tend to be followers. But you know, we were built that way. When you're young and learning, you don't know anything about the world, so you follow those around you. And if it works for one guy, it's probably going to work for you. It makes a lot of sense. It's very efficient. But there are times when it doesn't work. And there are times when bad people take over, take power. So I said there were a couple of things that were big obstacles to colonial times, and I see them here today, and that one of the big obstacles is people are just apathetic. There's a lot of inertia out there. It's hard to motivate them. And the point I want to make on that back then, they had leaders that just sallied forth. They went for it anyway. We are in a revolutionary time now. 250 years after our founding, the Declaration of Independence, which really was a declaration of war, we're in another war right now. And it's an existential threat, this war. We're fighting wokeism, the left, the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, Islamofascism, the deep state corruption, the invaders, the border, breaking up of the border, all of those things. And I'm sure there are several I left out. And it's not a fair fight, because all of those different forces have one opponent. That one opponent is liberty. It's us. Everyone here, you're here because you value freedom enough to just not do whatever else you could be doing tonight. You value freedom enough to put it on your calendar, to tell other people, maybe to arrange a babysitter or dog sitter or whatever, and to get here. And I believe being a leader has nothing to do with letters after your name, MD, JD, PhD. And being a leader has absolutely nothing to do with having a position of authority or proclaiming yourself an expert. A leader is someone others follow. And you people are here tonight. Everyone here is a leader because you showed up. And when you leave, you'll talk about it. And other people are going to be listening to you, probably more than you may suspect. So you guys all are leaders. And even though the odds look pretty long sometimes, and it looks like a long uphill slog, all we have to do is keep fighting and we'll win. What are we fighting for? We're fighting for something in here. We're born with it. We live and breathe it. We feel it. I mean, 250 years ago, establishing the first constitution for a self-governed people, they had no idea what that looked like. They could look at Rome and Greece and England, but they were putting it on paper, and they were going to make it happen and fashion it for the first time ever. But they were guided by something, you know, and it's here. We feel it. That's why we'll never quit. And that's a big advantage over all those other opponents, as powerful as they are. And they are very powerful. But this is an interesting time. I'm supposed to be talking about MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. Well, that's a part of what? Make America Great Again. Well, what's that a part of? That's by the amazing force of mostly one amazing human being who had the courage to lead boldly and make the phrase MAGA and hire the right people and get it done and dodge a bullet, maybe with a little help. One person like that, a conspicuous leader, can only go so far. The reason we are at last winning is because what he is leading, where he is going, and everyone who's following him, it comes from in here. And so that's to make America healthy again. Just follow your heart. And when it comes to health, if you're a self-governing person, you follow your heart locally, you act locally. I'm here to tell you, our healthcare system is really, really broken. And no matter how frustrated your personal experiences have been, talk to Dr. Tony, talk to me. You know, if you're in the healthcare system, you're getting it going and coming. You know, you're working in it every day. Plus then you have family and friends that are sick and they're in it. So our system is really, really broken. The way to fix it is local. There's a reason why River Bill or Sheriff, is it Tim?
Yeah.
They both talked about corruption. How do I know Sheriff Tim's administration is not corrupt? How do we know it's not corrupt? There he is. Go talk to him. It's pretty hard to be corrupt if you're one-on-one relating to someone. You know, how do we know healthcare system is broken? Hands up everybody whose children went to school with the children of their family physician. 1, 2, handful. Hands up everybody who's had their family physician, their family doctor over to their house for supper. How about hands up, go to church with your family physician. Now, what do you suppose those hands would look like 100 years ago? The corporatization of healthcare. What does corporate mean? It means you take a bunch of people and you turn it into a single body. My word for that is collectivist. I like big, broad terms. I like collectivism. What does that mean? That's socialism, that's communism, anything that takes individual liberty, which, think about that, that's a redundancy. What liberty is not an individual liberty? Anything that takes liberty away from the individual human being, treats people differently, collectivizes them, that's unfree. I like things blunt. I'm a lumper. I'm not a splitter. You're either free or you're not. And another big problem facing revolutionary times, America 250 years ago, and facing us right now is corruption. You know, one of my favorite sayings, Mark Twain said, "I love humanity. It's people I can't stand." And you know, I went into medicine because I love humanity. And if you do enough hours in an emergency room where people show up at 1 a.m. drunk, coming home from the bar, and they're swearing at you and vomiting in your emergency room, you learn something else about humanity. It's made up of people. And there's a technical phrase for that. People are shits. Animals don't do that to you. People can be real shits. And why do I say that? That connects to one of the big problems we have, which is corruption. People make things corrupt. They're the ones, if you, talking about, was it, I'm sorry, I'm speaking of shit, I'm shitty with names. Was it Bill? River Bill with the ponytail?
Bill Lawrence.
Bill, you're talking about along the river. What's going on there? Why does someone think they should take your property? Why do people think that they should control your health care? We've got, medicine is doctor and patient. That's medicine. It's a one-to-one connection. It's sacred. You don't break that. But healthcare has at least 3 other components. Certainly insurance companies, they're part of our healthcare system now. Government, big part. And I put the 5th one as employers because they kind of got roped into it 50 years ago or so. Well, medicine's only the first 2. That's medicine. And our problem in healthcare is it has gotten corporatized. It has gotten collectivist. And if you are a collective entity, by definition, you just took power away from individuals. You just stole someone's liberty. And whenever you go into an examination room with your doctor, you've got government and insurance in there with you. You're sitting in that little examination room with the largest bureaucracies in the known universe. And they're in control. They control the money. They control where patients go. Our system of law is you are innocent until proven guilty. That's really important. And we see that eroding now on the left, right? People getting accused of things by in European governments, and you're free. There's no such thing as free speech anymore in a lot of these places, and they're trying to make that happen here. But this idea of the presumption of innocence, you must be proven guilty, I would take that and totally invert it. If you are a collectivist corporate entity, you are guilty unless proven innocent. The burden of proof is on you. If you are a big, complicated insurance company, why are you so complicated? How many people just love explanation of benefit forms because they're just, oh, another one came in the mail. I'm going to kick ass. This is going to be fun. No one. I was in medical school. I have relatives and lives in insurance. They know you can't figure this out. That's not a mistake, as they say. It's not a bug. It is a feature of the system. When you confuse people and you obscure people and you disguise the paths of power, you hide the price, that is corruption. We're all human beings. You know, if you're someplace and you're really hungry and there's food on the table and whoever's food it is walks out of the room, I, of course, would never do this, but some people are going to just maybe take a little piece. But if you leave them there long enough and they got away with it the first time, they're going to take it away a little bit more. And if you do that for a week and then a year, pretty soon they're eating you out of house and home. It's human nature. And then what happens if you have a government? I mean, healthcare is a fifth of our economy. You've got government controlling it. Government writes the laws, they enforce the laws, and they make the laws way too complicated for all of us to understand. This is healthcare, but it's everything else too. If you got an extra 5 minutes, I can tell you how to fix the tax code. Whatever. Environmental law, you name it. So these are the methods of tyranny. Corruption, they're taking your freedom. And the answer, at least in healthcare, is restore the doctor-patient relationship. I had a patient who asked me once, how are you going to do that? How do you fix this system? And I had to give a quick answer, which was nice because I usually talk too long. But it got me to think of it different. And so I said, okay, you got patients are always number one, doctors, insurance, government, and employers. And my answer to him was, in any system, you can either fix a broken system from without or from within. But if all the power of that system is held by those that are breaking the system and have corrupted it, you're screwed. That system is never going to fix itself. They are just going to keep strangling and strangling tighter and tighter. Well, what do you think has been happening in healthcare for the last 20 years? It was 20 years ago, at least, when I first heard the phrase unsustainable healthcare increase, unsustainable premium increases, 10, 15, 20% every year. Costs just keep going up. What are they buying with that? Obviously, your healthcare must be just amazing now, all that money going to it. Well, of course, it's corrupt. So the system cannot fix itself. What is our hope? There is hope, because patients and doctors, they have a common, natural, sacred relationship, but it could be restored. But employers, the fifth one, they don't belong in that payment group. They don't make laws, they obey them. They don't make more money when you get sick and die instead of paying you for claims. They don't make money by charging high premiums and not paying. Employers, they have the same incentives as patients. They want their workers to be healthy and productive and to live longer. That's more profitable. less turnover, it's more stable, it's a better attitude. It's a win-win all around. So employers who employ hundreds or thousands of workers, they have power, and they need to align with patients and doctors and break away and squeeze out the other people in the payment structure, the parties, the government and insurance. And I said, if you leave, for 20 years we've had the corrupt part of our healthcare system strangling and strangling and strangling. Well, who are they going to strangle when the going gets really rough? Who are they going to turn on? They've already turned on the employers. Employers are getting screwed now just like patients and doctors. It's time. And how do I know it's time? It's happening. In Green Bay and in Northeast Wisconsin, we have a group of employers and we have doctors and other providers that are aligning together. They're getting away from insurance and Medicare. They're going to the direct pay. It's cheaper. I said earlier, revolutionary times Americans had a difficult time imagining what it would be like living truly free, like how they set it up. And it took them a while. 1776, Constitution didn't come around for another 12 years or so. So they had a difficult time imagining what it was like. Try this once. Try to imagine, especially if you're a little older, try to imagine your earliest experiences with a doctor, maybe your pediatrician or a family doctor, and try to imagine that trust and that personal knowledge, being able to rely on someone who knew you and had your interests at heart. Try to imagine that combined now with the power of modern medicine. Before anyone heard of CT scans and MRIs and PET scans and half the blood tests we have now, we had a doctor-patient relationship. We had trust. We had love. And we've lost that. But if we get that back, can anyone really imagine what medicine, what medical care would be like? Try to imagine having someone that knows you and trusts you and likes you and recognizes this is sacred and then can direct you to the wonders of modern medicine, the healing power. It's hard even to imagine it, but that's where we should be. That's where we would have been if we hadn't gotten sidetracked 30, 40, 50 years ago with government and insurance and all these others taking over for us, taking it from us. Doctors and patients both sold our relationship cheap. I had a lady come to me 20-some years ago, never seen me before. Oh, you're new to the clinic. Yeah, my insurance changed. Really? Well, do you have a doctor before? Oh yeah, he was my doctor for 20 years. Loved him. But if I keep seeing him, it's going to cost me $15 more a visit. It's not a free market. You know, it's not a free market if you can't just go and choose. If you can't compare prices. If you can be coerced by the government or your employer or insurance. Oh, I'm in plan and now I'm out of plan and all that. It's all one thing, stealing your freedom. It's destroying the free market, destroying the doctor-patient relationship. But we can get it back. All we got to do is want it. And after all, why should we want it? Well, it's here. You want it for your children. You want it for your grandkids. It's just part of being human. So I'm looking at a bunch of leaders here tonight. Maybe you never were on your student council, or maybe you never were in any position of leadership. But you know who you are. You know you've got people you can talk to and you can reach them. And they'll follow you. They're listening to you. So lead. Talk it up. Engage in some factual, rational, and compassionate debate. And if you have an employer or an HR person, or you are one of those animals, talk to them, talk to business owners. Stay tuned. Look at the Physicians for Freedom website because we will be having more. We've got a big employer thing we're planning for September. Things can be way, way, way better. And I can't think of many things that are more important or more reachable if you just knew how close you were to them. Chris is going to take his hat off when I had 5 minutes. I'm just assuming that he took his hat off late because I'm pretty much done, I think. We can take some, I would be delighted to stay as long as you'd like for Q&A. Yeah. Yeah, please. Yes, sir.
Of course, a lot of people here are a little bit on the elderly side, and maybe a lot of people here were like me. I grew up in a small town. You want the doctors actually as help. Do you remember that at all? Doctors had an office right in their house. Even dentists had an office. Is that what you're kind of talking about, going back to that kind of freedom, but then associated with a clinic for
yes.
things? Okay.
So one thing that I like about my practice is that I'm totally independent. 30 years ago, got married, moved up from Madison to live in Wrightstown. I met with my banker, and I said, I want to start my own practice. What kind of medicine do you do? Family medicine. He wasn't a mean guy, but he just started laughing out loud. He said, you don't understand how healthcare works. In, I think it was 1987, 1988, the RVRVS, remember that, Tony? The resource-based relative value scale. The government, federal government, commissioned a study by Harvard academician researchers. And they said, we can do way better than this messed up medical system. It's so complicated. We can simplify it for people and we can organize it. So that's what they said. So they hired these researchers to go through all of the various things that doctors did. Doctors do an office call for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Doctors do brain surgery. They administer IV therapies, all the different things. They listed them all, and then they ranked them based on how much they ought to be paid. How risky is it? How much training does it require to do it? We're smarter than the market. We'll figure it out, and we'll put these in, and then Medicare will key all of its price reimbursements based on the RVRVS. Well, as soon as Medicare did that, all the insurance companies keyed it off of RVRVS for Medicare. I find it fascinating that this occurred right after, between the time when Ronald Reagan said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall, which was tyranny, an evil empire, price fixing, central control of the economy, which any economist would say, it's impossible, you can't do it, Adam Smith, invisible hand, be damned, Between the time Reagan said that and the wall actually fell a couple years later, that's when our federal government was saying we can control prices in 1/5 of our economy. So that's just one example of they write the rules, they umpire the game, they enforce the penalties, and you can't see them. And oh, by the way, do you want to talk to former FBI Director Chris Wray, or you want to talk to FBI Director Kash Patel? I would love to. I'd love to talk to him. There's no way I'm ever going to get to talk to him. He's the head law enforcement of that. But talk to Sheriff Tim. There he is. it's all about accountability and restoring that one-on-one direct connection. I told you I could talk. I may have way left your question in the dust, but Nick.
Yeah, when I saw you guys out in Green Bay, Dr. Wessler said something that was pretty interesting about the insurance companies is they dictate what treatments and tests that you can give to the patient. So my question then would be, what liability do the insurance companies incur if something goes wrong?
It's
Zip.
never the insurance company's fault.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah, it's, you know, I said before, if you're able to steal just a little bit, you will. You know, there's no middle ground between punishment and reward in that case. If someone's breaking the law or stealing from you or wronging you, and you just, well, I'm just going to do nothing, you rewarded that person. And so what do people do? If they gain from stealing and they're rewarded and not punished by it, well, I'm going to do it twice next time. And then next week, I'm coming in with both hands. And then next month, I'm hiring my buddy, and he's going to do that. This has been going on for 30, 40, 50 years. It's so entrenched. And then what else does that do? It drives out anyone who would have opposed them. So your example of insurance companies, yeah, you've got to get pre-approved for a study or a test that you order. You can't order an MRI and then just have it done. But you can now. There are places in northeast Wisconsin, I've done it, I've seen it. Someone comes in and they need an MRI for their back, or they have a meniscal tear and they need an orthopedist to do a scope on their knee. You can go through and say, okay, well, what plan am I in? Well, you need a referral. I'm an independent doctor. Sometimes they say, well, I need a referral for this Prevea doctor. You have to be a Prevea primary doctor. You have to be on our team to be able to refer in, which just complicates it, right? But then once you get into you're in that team. Let's say you're a Prevea. I'm not trying to pick on Prevea. They're as bad as any of the others. But if you are in that plan, now you can get a test by that, so let's say consultant or specialist, and then they'll make the appointment. They won't even make the appointment for a lot of these tests until insurance has said, yep, you're in plan, okay, it'll cover it. And I'll use the example that we used June 3rd at our event. Scott Wesslow, Dr. Wesslow talked about, he's a cardiologist, and he talked about echocardiograms. He said, well, you get an echo, ultrasound of your heart, and your insurance will bill the employer $2,400. There's your echo bill. It's a $2,400 test. And then the patient, some weeks later, will get an EOB and will discover, oh, my insurance, because I'm in plan, I only have to pay $800. This is wonderful. I'm so glad I paid all this money for my premium my employer did. And then the untold story is that in some cases, the employer is left on the hook for the difference, which is really absurd. Oh, but you've got, copay. You may have to build up your copay before they're going to give you that full, you know how the whole thing works. However, for Dr. Wesslow, if he thinks you need an echocardiogram, he'll order the echo. They say it's $600. You can have it right then, that afternoon, $600 cash. Like, how is it possible to do a test when it's list price through the insurance $2,400 for a quarter of the price? What does that test really cost? Well, the answer, if you're an economist, is the cost of something is what the market is willing to bear. Well, the people doing the echo, owning the machines, they'll sell it to anybody at their cost, which is $600. But if you're controlling the market and there is no free market and you're setting the prices and you're determining, it's funny money. It's not a market at all. It's extortion. And it's gone on so long that people almost forget that it could be different. Yes, sir.
Pharmaceuticals, until we get control away from them through influencing clinics and doctors and everything else, I don't think there's a whole lot that can be changed until you get them out of the system. And the United States is the only place that they can advertise on TV publicly.
I think also New Zealand.
Okay.
So yay, we're with New Zealand.
But I mean, what do you say to that? You know, the
Yeah.
pharmaceuticals have huge influence.
Well, you know,
They have nice cars too. The
Yeah.
people that have those nice offices. along
Trump
with
has been
groceries.
all over that, right? He negotiated hard. He's not shy to tell you about it. You know, he'll talk to the leaders of other countries and say, you know, with his tariff battle, part of that was to get the cost of drugs down. All of these problems are just so big, it's hard to answer them briefly, but pharmaceutical companies are totally corrupt in the main. Totally corrupt. Again, it's no different than any large organization. If they write the rules, you can't hold them accountable, and it's too confusing, they're too big and powerful. You know they're going to be corrupt because imagine yourself in a board meeting. You know, you're in a Pfizer board meeting, and someone says, well, you know, I have some questions. One person speaks up. I'm having a little trouble with this. Is it really ethical to conceal the side effects on this mRNA? How long do you think that person is going to stay on the board? And then what's the rationale? It's like, well, Moderna's doing it. Merck's going to do it. Johnson & Johnson is going to do it. What are we, saps? We have a responsibility to our shareholders to be competitive. And you know, I mean, there's all different ways of rationalizing it, but they've been doing it. It's getting worse and worse and worse every year. But I think the answer is they are getting out of it. It's a fundamental trait of every organism with a central nervous system. I almost said every organism with a brain, but I don't want to leave some humans out. Every organism with a central nervous system, it's a fundamental trait. If you're totally content, you're comfortable, you sit still. And if you're hungry or tired or bored or hurting, you move. That's what central nervous systems are for, to get you to move. And we finally have a level of pain and suffering bad enough to get people moving. That's what's happening. It's not just in healthcare, right? This is why Doge was a big success. This is why, you know, this is a revolutionary time this year, 250 years later. I mean, it's another revolution if we can just keep it going, if we can recognize what it is, if we can fuel the fire, talk it up. But that's what's going to be the answer, whether it's drug prices or invasion over the border or, you know, I mean, I'm so proud of Physicians for Freedom. We got started in the wake of the COVID mRNA vaccines. That's what really got us going. But we were early and loud talking up against the sterilization and mutilation and brainwashing of young people about this gender nonsense. It's absolutely, I've said for 5 years now, people very soon will look back on the mutilation surgeries being done at Children's Hospital in Milwaukee and all over. They will look back on this, and the Salem witch trials will look like a tea party compared to what it is. A disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. But I don't know, if that had happened 20 years ago, maybe we'd have it fixed by now. It's so outrageous now, the men and women's sports. I mean, it's just gotten more and more absurd and wrong. And so people are standing up.
But for the most part, the United States itself has a very, very short memory. Very short. They don't remember things, and that's the part that scares them.
Reagan said, right, you have to fight for freedom every generation. That's right. That's right. But you know, this thought occurred to me a couple years ago. You know what a meme is, right? People know what memes are. But the idea of a meme originated like 50 years ago, 40 years ago. It was an evolutionary biologist came up with the idea. And his idea for Richard Dawkins, he came up with the idea of a meme, which is
you know, a gene is something that it's in your genes, and if it favors you for survival, there'll be more of it to the next generation. He did that with culture. And a meme is an idea. It's just, it's, you know, his example was dee-dee-dee-da, you know, Beethoven's Fifth, you know, or a commercial or something. It's like a complex thought in one little idea. Now it's got legs. Now it'll circulate and it'll survive. Okay, if we can make, here's a good example of what became a meme. What was the, slavery was the flaw of our republic when we were formed. Couldn't get rid of it, had to compromise. But 250 years later, it's a meme that slavery is wrong. Slavery is evil. Everybody just knows it. When was the last time you heard someone casually, you know, in a restaurant or something, yeah, I got a new slave yesterday. She's working out great, you know. It's absurd because it became enough of a concise, definite idea that we all get it. We can talk about it. Oh, I get it. It's wrong. Slave, evil. Slavery, evil. If we can do that with collectivism, all corporate, collective, communism, social, neo-Marx, all this. If we can teach our young people that all of that collectivism is bad, left, woke, collective, bad, and just have that become accepted, we may not have to teach it every generation. Maybe it will be easier, you know, but it's a hard slog. Yes, sir.
So I've been watching on YouTube Ron Johnson talking about some of these doctors associated with you know the issuing new mRNA vax, and you know he's trying to get to the bottom of this that you know people were pushing this vax, it hadn't been studied enough, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And you see these doctors that he's talking to, you know, they look like a bunch of ghosts. And, you know, obviously, you know, they're covering up for what they did or what they didn't do. I mean, just your thoughts on that. I mean, you know, we've got major cable and regular antenna networks on our televisions. Nobody airs it.
Yeah.
You got to see it. You know, maybe it'll give you a little bit of a boost on Fox, but otherwise, you got to see it on, you know, on the internet. That's the only way you're going to see what's going on. And it seems like guys like Fauci, they got away with murder. I mean, literally.
I agree with you. Two things. Briefly, Senator Ron Johnson is just a national treasure. He's just a hero. The courage of that guy, you know, and the fact that he's, you know, right here in our front or backyard, we sometimes don't appreciate that. But the bigger problem is, I don't know, this was a thought that occurred to me when I was working on talks and stuff. Most of the people who commit evil are not evil. You do not have to be evil to commit evil. So for example, think of these doctors. Maybe they're, you know, they've always trusted the medical system. They thought they could. They were taught that they could trust the NIH. They could trust where they went to medical school and the journals. And they're busy, and you know they're not all individual free thinkers. There are a lot of them that are kind of sheep-like, you know, but they know medicine, how they learned it, and part of knowing medicine, how they learned it, is when people come up to them and say, "Hey, I got a new idea. If I take paprika and throw it up in the air and dance under it, that'll get rid of my arthritis." It's like, oh no, I know medicine. I'm going to debunk that. So they have a responsibility they feel a responsibility to tell people, don't believe all that bullshit you hear. Well, then you get a guy, they lose track. They don't know. They never learned how corrupt the system really is. And what a lying, killing person the Faucis of the world are. They just, part of it is it's like, it's so bad that they can't believe it. You know, it's like the enormity of the corruption shields the corruption, you know. So they disbelieve, and yet they're not evil. They think they're doing the right thing, and they're just ignorant. Maybe they're a little cowardly, but they're human. But the leaders of those, the Faucis and the leaders of Pfizer, I think they are evil. You know what I'm saying? The structure is there, and it's so big. There's so many people, and it's so bureaucratized. You know, you think every German in the 1930s was an evil Nazi who wanted to kill everybody? No. Most of them, they just did their job, and they might have hated it, but you know, it's like, I mean, it's not so simple.
We got time for one more question.
All right, who gets it? I'm gonna pander to the women. Yes.
Should have had her ask.
Do the doctors do the kickbacks when they promote the chemo treatment? Some doctors aren't promoting it. I want to know, are they being paid? Because I understand that a lot of drugs they don't get paid for or reimbursed. I heard that they do for chemo. Is that true?
You know, I don't want to sound like I'm dodging a question. I just don't know. I know a buddy of mine since residency in the 80s, we would call them drug boondoggles. You know, the pharmaceutical companies would have a display in the hospital cafeteria, and you could get a plastic mug or a pen with their label on it, and we were pretty poor residents. It was like, whoo, free stuff, you know. Uh-oh, is this going to make us want to prescribe one medicine over another because, you know, I've got a, you know, pocket knife that says Lipitor on it or something? I think that's kind of silly. However, even back then, I heard gossip of some specialists, usually it's not primary care, there's no money in it, but the specialists who would like go on trips, and they, you know, so I'm sure there's some of that around. I can't say. I know that there are bureaucratized, institutional forms of kickbacks that are on a much bigger scale rather than going to individual doctors. I want to say one more thing about that. It reminds me of this. Very often, I think people who really don't understand healthcare and how it works, they think, oh, doctors are rich. They're the ones charging prices. And it's absolutely not true. And so one of the things I would say to support that, or to support my answer, I would say, is why would you waste your money giving it to individual doctors? They don't have any power anymore. It's their plan, their hospital system. This is what we have. They have a formulary. How do they decide their formulary of drugs? That's all negotiated at the administrative level, way, way above the doctors. I'm not as knowledgeable on that. All right. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your attention tonight. Thank you for coming out and being leaders.